It's Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We'll be here with you for the next couple of hours talking local, regional, and national sports topics. Really excited about doing so today. Got a great show today. Wade, what's up?
What's happening, Mo? Good to be with you. Good to be with everybody. And we got a new pope. So buckle up, boys and girls. And I'm not the only one that saw this joke, but Mel Kiper is furious that the new pope is not Shadur Sanders. That's going around on the web today. So just go ahead and get that out there. Big news all around. Big show all around. Yeah, we are jazzed up for a good Thursday here.
Pope Shadur.
I mean, it kind of has a nice ring to it, I think.
It does.
But Mel Kiper is a little upset.
He's an American pope, from what I think I saw a little bit ago, soon after the White Smoke came out. Yeah, I'm really kind of fascinated by the selection process there. So yeah, interesting.
This is the most up to date. I watch Conclave, so I feel like I'm an expert on Pope selection now.
You know what? You are the third or fourth person that has mentioned Conclave. I did not realize there was a movie, but I threw out some questions about the selection process on my Facebook account, actually, and I was pointed toward Conclave. Now, whether or not I'm interested enough to actually watch a movie about it, I'm not sure, but it feels like a lot of my questions would have been answered if I did. So just
great movie. We could devote a whole podcast to whether it was robbed of the Academy Award or not, but yeah, worth a watch when you get a chance.
I'll keep that in mind. I will. In the second hour of today's show, we will be joined by our favorite NBA fan, Landon SECREST, talking a little NBA playoffs, obviously. He's in a pretty good mood today, I would imagine. We'll see just how good a mood he's in when we catch him in the second hour. In the second segment on Coach's Corner, we'll be joined by Cumberland University baseball coach Ryan Hunt, whose Phoenix are headed into the NAIA postseason starting this weekend. Excited to catch up with him and get the pulse of the Phoenix as they head into the NAIAs and try to get to the NAIA College World Series. So we will be checking in with him here in just a bit. We'll also be talking a little Nashville Soccer Club, a little Braves, a little Major League Baseball. Again, we'll get into some NBA playoff action with Landon. We'll also talk NHL playoffs. The SEC softball tournament is in day 3 down in Athens. They've already got one final in the books and heading toward a second pretty quickly here. So we'll talk about all of that here over the next couple of hours. And again, really excited to do so. So stick around. It's going to be fun. Damn it. Wade, what do you think? Should we go ahead and get started?
I think so, partner. Let's we've revved it up enough. Let's get this thing off and running.
Let's do it then. Let's get it going with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Lock and load, boys and girls. It is time for your Thursday rundown, which means we wind the clock to Wednesday night for your results. And we start with softball action last night as Mount Juliet defeats Beach 3-2. Blackman with a 23-0 victory over Rockville last night. Big win for the Blaze, to say the least. Clarksville Christian with a 12-2 victory over Christian Community. Columbia dispatching Warren County last night 5-3. Eagleville with a similar score to Blackman. They win it 17-0 over Huntland last night. Green Hill with a 14-4 victory over Mount Juliet. Tullahoma took care of Giles County right here in Pulaski. 7-1 was your final as Tullahoma ends the Lady Bobcats season. It was Lewis County 11, Loretto 3. More scores here. Cookville with a 4-2 win over Smyrna, and Stewart's Creek squeaks by Wilson Central last night 10-9. Boys soccer scoreboard, light in scores, but full of action. It was a 3-1 victory last night for Columbia as the Lions knocked off Warren County to cap our soccer scoreboard.
All of a sudden, the Lions on a little bit of a roll. They dispatched Spring Hill on Monday night 2-0. So they are deeper.
Let them heat up.
There we go. Don't let the Lions get hot. Flag football action from the Girls State Invitational Tournament over in Murfreesboro. This was yesterday/last night. Green Hill with a 34-6 win over Arlington. Arlington turned around and defeated Creekwood 18-13 before falling to Ravenwood 28-0. Blackman with a pair of wins, 19-18 over Fulton, 25-24 over Pearl Cone. Liberty Creek defeated Carter 40-12. East Robertson defeated Carter 36-0. Liberty Creek defeated East Robertson 27-6. Pearl Cone with a 25-21 win over Fulton. Green Hill defeated Creekwood 33-0. Walker Valley blanked Hillsboro 20-0. I'm sorry, Green Hill defeated Creekwood 33-6. Y'all, sorry about that. Walker Valley 20, Hillsboro 0. Hillsboro bounced back with a 12-6 win over Ezel Harding and a 20-7 win over Jackson Northside. Ezel Harding defeated Jackson Northside 19-13. It was Montgomery Central 25, Blackman 6. Pearl Cone with a 13-6 win over Montgomery Central. Montgomery Central came back and defeated Fulton 39-12. Ravenwood defeated Creekwood 26-0, defeated Green Hill 21-14. Stone Memorial with a pair of victories, defeating Liberty Creek 29-12 and East Robertson 34-8. And Walker Valley downed Ezel Harding by 20, 33-13. In Major League Baseball last night, the Houston Astros got the bats going with a 9-1. Actually, this was yesterday. I think we even talked about it before the show got over with. 9-1 Houston over Milwaukee. The Reds with a 4-3 victory over the Braves. We'll talk more about that one later in the show. And over at First Horizon Park, the visiting Norfolk Tides evened that series against the Nashville Sounds, but it took them 10 innings to do so, scoring 4 in the 10th and winning it 10-6.
Let's go to our schedule for today. We got a lot to tap into, and we got baseball action that gets underway at 4 p.m. when Pickett County and East Robertson will tangle. Also a 7 p.m. showdown for Joe Burns, who will meet Gordonsville. 5 p.m. will be your start time for Santa Fe and Richland. Pulaski Citizen Live will have live broadcast coverage of that one. And if Richland wins, they'll meet Cornersville right after. That game being played at Cornersville. So you might get 2 for the price of 1 if you're a Raiders fan there. Other 5 p.m. first pitches include Lewis County versus Summertown, Columbia Central versus Lincoln County. 5:30 start time for Page versus Nolensville. 6 o'clock we'll see Oakland versus Blackman. Coffee County will meet the Columbia Central Lincoln County winner at 6:30 tonight. At 7:30 this evening, and capping our softball scoreboard will be, our schedule rather, will be Independence taking on Brentwood. Men's soccer now. Let's go to the pitch, and Battle Creek and Richland will tangle for the 3rd time this season at 6 p.m. with a district title hanging in the balance. Yours truly and Jennifer Hawkins will broadcast that one on Pulaski Citizen Live. At 7 p.m. this evening, Smyrna will be at Cookville. Murfreesboro Central Magnet will be at Franklin County. Should be a fun tussle there for the 8 AAA crown. Also 7 p.m. starts Beach at Hendersonville. Columbia is traveling to Shelbyville, and Riverdale is on the road, but not far, on the road at Siegel.
Not far at all. You just got to deal with that Murfreesboro traffic, so head out early. Flag football, the state invitational tournament over at Murfreesboro continues. We've got some results early today. Montgomery Central with a 27-18 win over Jackson Northside. It was Ravenwood with a 62-0 victory over Carter. Ravenwood 62, Carter nothing. There we go. Walker Valley 19, Creekwood 18, Green Hill with a 33-18 win over East Robertson. It was Arlington 20, Hillsboro 12. Liberty Creek squeaks past Blackman 14-13. Pearl Cone with a 24-19 win over Ezel Harding. Green Hill just a little bit ago downed Montgomery Central 27-14 in a quarterfinal matchup. Your other quarterfinals that started at 1 o'clock include Stone Memorial and Arlington, Walker Valley and Liberty Creek, and Ravenwood and Pearl Cone. Semifinals are scheduled for 3 o'clock. The championship game is at 5, and if we get any more of those scores from the quarters, we'll try to let you know. Major League Baseball this evening, 6:15. It's the series finale down at Truist Park as Cincinnati and the Braves will go at it. Braves still with a chance to win that series with a win tonight. That game starts at 6:15. You can see it on the MLB Network and on FanDuel. And at 6:35 at First Horizon, The Norfolk Tides and the Nashville Sounds continue their series. It is Throwback Thursday there, just like it is here. It's also Malmo Oat Milkers Night. Wade, you got any light you can shine on Malmo Oat Milkers Night?
I don't, but I hope that's a throwback jersey of some sort. I don't know what it would look like, but it sounds pretty cool.
It sounds intriguing, to say the least. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up our rundown. Your top story brought to you as always by the fine folks over at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Murfreesboro. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And, you know, if you're a soccer fan, and Wade is, I'm not the biggest soccer fan, obviously, but if you are a soccer fan here locally, you might want to make plans for August 2nd and maybe for May 16th. The English Premier Club Aston Villa will be playing at Geodis on August 2nd against the host NSC. Will mark the first time in club history that Nashville has played a team from one of the Big Five European soccer leagues. It's kind of a preseason game for Aston Villa as they get ready for the 25-26 EPL season. And tickets will go on sale for this event on May 16th. So, be on the lookout for that if that's something that kind of whets your appetite.
Should be fun. Aston Villa's pretty solid, and they are safely they're going to finish in the top half of the Premier League this year. So no threat of them, coming in as a second tier side. They played pretty well this season. This will be a fun little friendly of sorts for Nashville, kind of like you said, a preseason. Kind of see this a lot. I think even Everton will be in the States this summer. Some of these guys will come over, and sometimes in the United States, but more often around the world as well. They'll play a couple preseason matches just to kind of get their legs under them, get a little travel, get out of England for a little bit. And so Nashville SC gets a little dose of Aston Villa. Should be pretty fun. Be the first kind of real big Premier League sides that I can remember, at least, since Man City and Tottenham Hotspur played at Nissan Stadium back in 2017. So a chance for, Villa fans for sure, NSC fans obviously, but just, fans of top flight soccer will have a chance to get out and check one of the, not the best. I feel like I can safely say that, and I'm hoping I don't know any Villa fans off the top of my head. But not one of the premier teams, but certainly a capable squad, and should be a fun little dose for everybody involved.
It's interesting. This is a preseason matchup for the Villains, but they are, 35 games into their current schedule. They are 17-9-9. They are in 7th place in the EPL. They've got 3 games remaining in the regular season. From there, they have a chance to move on to the UEFA Champions League tournament. So not a whole lot of a break, doesn't sound like, between what they've got going on now and the 25-26 campaign, if August 2nd, again, is a preseason matchup. So
yeah, it's a quick turnaround. MLS is one of the real only leagues that has this odd schedule, but by and large, the rest of the world, it's kind of NASCAR-ish in that sense, right? You get, depending on how far you go, we just saw Inter Milan and PSG advance to the Champions League final the last 2 days. So they've still got another match coming to play later this month outside of their traditional leagues that they're in. So, you could be playing late May, and you got June, and you got a few, maybe 2 weeks in July, and then you're right back at it, especially if you're doing an international tour like Villa.
Villa is one of England's oldest soccer clubs, apparently, founded in 1874. They have won 7 league championships. They've won the European Cup, and obviously quite a distinguished history. on that side of the pond. So again, August 2nd, Geodis Park. It's NSC facing off against Aston Villa. Tickets will go on sale on May 16th, which is what? Next Friday, I guess. So scrape your ducats together for that one. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, it'll be time for Coach's Corner. We will catch up with Cumberland University baseball coach Ryan Hunt. Stick around.
Get ready, race fans. NASCAR is back in Music City with a new name, the Cracker Barrel 400. Guitars, fast cars, and the comfort of Cracker Barrel's country hospitality. May 30th through June 1st. The action kicks off Friday night at Nashville Superspeedway with the Rackley Roofing 200. Then the Tennessee Lottery 250 on Saturday. And Sunday night, NASCAR's top stars under the lights in the Cracker Barrel 400. Get your tickets now at NashvilleSuperspeedway.com.
Let us connect you with a team that you'll be bedazzled by when you connect with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Let's meet the team. This is Charles Calvert, known as One Take. He's the plumbing service manager. Here we have Matt Cook. He's known as Big Country. He's the HVAC service manager.
Visit Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning for all your needs.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. At the top of the second hour, we'll be throwing it back to a recent conversation we had with Travis Copley of Old Hickory Bats, talking torpedo bats. The talk about that specific bat has kind of cooled off a little bit, but Travis seemed to think that they are going to be on the rise, and you can hear more about that in our conversation with him again at the top of the second hour. I don't think torpedo bats have made it to the collegiate level yet, but if they have, I feel like Ryan Hunt and the Cumberland Phoenix probably have one or two laying around somewhere. The Phoenix, recent winners of the Mid-South Conference Tournament Championship up in Bowling Green, are headed into NAIA national postseason play, and they get started Monday over in Kingsport. We're now joined by Coach Ryan Hunt. Coach, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking some time with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Hey, congrats, first of all, and I guess you get to stay a little close to home, going over to Kingsport to open this thing up. You go as the number 2 seed, Tennessee Wesleyan as the number 1. But what are your thoughts regarding your draw, first of all?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough draw, and really any regional, it's kind of what I call a regional. That's kind of what it is. But any region that we would have went to would have been a tough draw. Everybody knows it's going to be really good. I mean, we're familiar with the country. We play them every year. We're familiar with us too. So. But the other things doing it, our first matchup against Columbia College out of Missouri, It's going to be very difficult. They're really good. And then you have Indiana Tech is the fourth seed. They're always top 25 team. And then the fifth seed is the Louisiana Christian, who's somewhat of a newer program, past 5 or 6 years, I believe. And it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a difficult region for sure.
Coach, you again won the Mid-South Conference Tournament Championship, defeating University of the Cumberlands in the finals. What are your thoughts about how your team is playing right now as y'all get ready to go east?
Yeah, we're playing really well right now. And it kind of started a couple weeks ago, and our last 2 weekends of the regular season, we really had to play really well to have a shot at the regular season title. And we got the one game at pretty hard, and allowed the University of Cumberland to kind of go ahead and defend the weekend before. But really heading up last weekend against the University of Cumberland when we had the unbelievable comeback and we scored 7 runs in the last inning with no outs. We went on a walk-off 3-run home run, I believe it was. And ever since then, we just found our confidence kind of took off. Ever since then, we've been playing real good baseball. Again, we lost, game winning championship game in the conference tournament to the Cumberlands, but then they're able to bounce back and get games too. We just, we're playing real good baseball right now. Our starting pitching has been really good. Primary hitting has been, great at times. We've got the big hit when we need it, and playing pretty good defense. Hopefully we can just continue that momentum heading to this opening round.
37-16-1 heading into Monday's matchup with Columbia College out of Missouri. Obviously, not all records are created equal, but when you look at a couple of 40-game winners in Columbia College and 42-11 Tennessee Wesleyan, what do you know about those other teams to this point, Coach, and how do you, combat that?
Yeah, we just, I've been talking to the guys all week because, we got like a week off until we head down there Monday. But like I said, we're very familiar with Tennessee Wesleyan. I mean, they've been top 5 all year, probably long for a reason. They finished runner up last year. And we're playing a lot of guys, and then they got some new guys, obviously mixed in there, but they're a really good program. Got some really good starting pitching. We played them in a good week at our place. They do this in kind of a high scoring affair. I think the final score was 16-13 or something like that. And we both had an open bye week in our conference schedule, so we went to their place and played a weekend series. And they swept us down there, but it was a couple of close games, could have went either way. But being so familiar with them, we know what type of program they are. They're one of the top teams in the country, obviously, and obviously we don't play really well to beat them. But like I said, if we focus on us, play our games, get playing well, do what we do best, I think I like our chances against anybody. And then, like I said earlier, the first matchup against Columbia College out of Missouri, they've been good for several years. They've got real good program. Year in and year out, really good starting system. I think they had the player of the year in the conference. I forgot the position played, but the position player of the year in that conference. With really good numbers. It's going to be an all-around good balanced team. And like I said, anybody we play in this season, we don't have a hand for it, but hopefully we can just worry about us, control what we can control, play our game, hopefully keep this momentum we have going into this season, and hopefully come out on top.
Coach, with that regional bracket, kind of the way it shakes out, it looks like one of the more loaded fields. We certainly know what you guys and Tennessee Wesleyan are capable of. And then even a team like Indiana Tech has been to the NAIA National Tournament 11 times. And you mentioned Columbia kind of on the come up. Do you think this ranks in your mind as one of the tougher regionals that the NAIA put together?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, we got Tennessee Wesleyan here. I said it's been top 5 all year. There's number 1 there for a while, and not been well up last year. We got us just kind of really well, kind of came out strong. I thought we should have been in top 25 a couple weeks ago, but we won't. And but we don't worry about that stuff. We just kept playing and kept kind of winning ball games. But India said, we played them earlier in the year here and split with them. We just played 3 games, we played a double hitter, and I think the next game got directed back together real close rain, and I think he snowed mixed in there, so he couldn't get the third game in. But we spoke with them earlier in the year. And then, like I said, a little bit ago, Columbia College was in good facilities. They just haven't got to the World Series just yet, but they're very capable team of doing that. Louisiana Christian, a lot of people probably hadn't heard of. I think they were in the regional last year too. There's another team that's capable. So I could see any team in this region actually coming out as winners. I do think it's a loaded field and one of the better fields for sure.
You also in that regional, Coach. I guess props to you. I don't know that you knew exactly who you were going to play, but it was kind of interesting that you do have a couple of matchups versus teams that are in your regional. But what does that kind of speak to what you guys try and do in preparation for the national tournament, playing some of the best of the best, whether you see them or not at the national level?
Yeah, it's just going to get you ready for, to be able to move on hopefully to the World Series. And, it's been a while since we've been there, and, we're thinking it's good to get back. And, but it's going to be a tough road ahead. Like I said, all these teams in every region across the country, all these teams are really, really good. We try to play some good teams early on in the year and throughout the big weeks, and we try to play the best teams we can and to get you ready for this moment. To hopefully get to the postseason, and that's where the teams we play early in the season and throughout the year kind of get you prepared for this. And like I said, we played Tennessee Hogan 3 times this year, so I hope we get to play in the first time and match up against them again. But like I said a little bit earlier, we got our hands full with Columbia College, that's for sure.
Ryan Hunt, Cumberland University baseball coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner as we get ready to watch the Phoenix head over to Kingsport in NAIA National Championship play starting on Monday, opening again against Columbia College out of Missouri. On Monday, you've also got top seed Tennessee Wesleyan, number 4 Indiana Tech, and number 5 Louisiana Christian over there. The winner advances to Lewiston, Idaho, which is, not unfamiliar territory for Cumberland. This would be their 13th NAIA World Series trip should they emerge from that Kingsport Regional over there, but it'd be the first time since 2014. Coach, it looks like your offense has really kind of led the way for you guys this season. 59 home runs, hitting .334 as a team, and scoring 8+ runs per game. Let's talk about the offensive success that you guys have had over the course of this season.
Yeah, we've, our offense is stayed with them, and, that's the takeaway from our starting pitching, which has been really good all along, too. And, bench pitching's kind of been up and down at times. We have some strong here lately. But, yeah, our offense has stayed with. It's a little bit different offense than the coming teams in the past. We've been known for hitting a lot of home runs, and then we still try to see this year. But, we're a little bit more well-rounded this year. We can use the small ball when we need to. We got some guys who can, like I said, use the drag down. We try to steal some bases when we can. Try to be aggressive on the base pass, going first to third, on ball foot in the outfield, and just try to be more aggressive, like I said, on the base pass, and being more, not so much small ball, but more kind of manufactured runs, because we're not going to be a team that overpowers you. Like I said, we have been some home runs, but we're more of a well-rounded offense this year, driving runs in, no doubles and home runs and stuff like that. So, really, like I said, we're well-rounded. We can fill in most of those.
Coach, walk us through the process real quick. I do know, or do notice, there are a number of 5-team regionals, and then obviously a number of 4-team regionals. Is there any official formula, or kind of how did that process come about?
That's one thing I still don't understand is, now there's some 5-team regionals and some 3. Seems like to me they would expand the field with a few more teams and just make all the regionals 5 teams. So I don't really know what the criteria is for who gets the 4-team regionals and who gets the 5. Because if you look at the 4 teams, those regionals, and it's not like the top 4 teams have those 4 teams in their region. So I don't know the criteria behind it. I wish the NAIA would add a few more teams and just make all the regionals 5 teams. Like I said, but to get in, it's obviously got to be either win the conference for this season or win the conference tournament. I hope they do one time enough to get that long to it. But so again, who gets the third team, who gets the top 10 regions, I don't really have an answer for that one.
We mentioned that Cumberland has been to Lewiston on a number of occasions. Last time they were out there was 2014. When they did go out there in 2014, though, they brought everything home. They were national champions, third time following College World Series championships in 2004 and 2010. This will be the first time that they go out there without Woody Hunt at the helm. And if that name sounds familiar, that's Ryan's dad. Coach, will Coach be traveling with y'all?
I think he said he's going to try to make it maybe, but he's never one to try to grab distinction. I know everywhere he goes, everybody knows him, and everyone talks to him. He tries to stay in the background a little bit because he doesn't want, he always says he don't take the, any credit for what's going on this year, anything like that, but I told him that day, I said, you need to be around as much as possible. This is about the third day. Not any one individual team, but one individual person. So, he put the third in from scratch and to where it is now today and to where we have it. And I hope it does go with us. And if we get to move on, I think I'm going to try to make him go with us.
Every little bit helps, right?
That's right.
Coach, you talked about that pitching and that offense. Who are some guys that you expect to play pretty big for you this week, regardless of how things happen for you?
Yeah, I think our top three pitchers, Cameron Wiley, Justin Goldstein, and Carter Rock, those three guys, starter roles are going to carry the start of the line. And then we got a couple of key bullpen guys, Jay Green, Kyle Nowblood, and then Jason Cole, who's a local guy from Mountain City at the University of Science. He's going to out of high school. Those guys on the mound, like I said, have carried the start of the line. So we expect those guys to continue to what they've done all year long, and that's a good point. And from a pitching standpoint, to kind of keep carrying us in that way. Offensively, we did have some guys that were all conference first team, our first baseman, Richard King. So all conference, I think he's leading the team in home runs, and it might be. He's pretty up there in average RBIs. Right fielder, other first team out conference, first investor. I think another guy that's right up there in average RBIs, home runs. We expect most of those guys to hopefully keep carrying us, and hopefully carry us to Lewiston after the tournament. But like I said, we have a good cut out for us. But really, and it's been a toughest tournament. The bottom of our list kind of carried us through that tournament, except for maybe that last game of the tournament. We thought I started Texas, Clinton Beacher. His numbers not going to blow you out of the water or something, but he just sits on the field, and he's come up with some huge hits this year. So we expect him to keep leading us, and he's kind of the backbone of our team, and he's kind of guys in the family. Everybody calls him Cap, the captain, so just kind of took on that big name this year. And as the first in Korea, they've got some big time hits for us this year. Again, the stats are good, but they're not going to blow you out of the water. But he's been clutch for us all along, and really our whole lineup is done whole year. Different guys stepping up and carrying us in different games and different situations. So, like I said, hopefully we can just continue to do what we're doing as a team and play well, and hopefully come out on top of this season and be able to move on to Lewiston, which is our ultimate goal. And we're going in this thing with nothing to lose and everything to gain. When the season began, nobody expected us to be here. We're kind of the underdog a little bit, maybe a 2-seed, but we're still kind of we gained that by what we did later in the year, so we're still kind of the underdogs. Hopefully we can just keep playing well enough to put us in a situation to hopefully get the Lewiston.
Coach, talked about your dad. This is your fourth season at the helm at Cumberland following his retirement. What has that experience been like for you? You talked about how recognizable he is in those high-profile environments and that kind of thing. Stepping in behind him, and one of the big bromides across athletics is you never want to be the man to follow the man. What's that been like for you, especially when that man was your dad?
Exactly. It's been it's been great. I've never been one to let that show bother me about, obviously, yes, it's some big shoes to fill, but, I never really looked at it that way. I don't think anybody can fill his shoes with what he's accomplished here. Whether I'm his son or somebody from the outside coming up taking much time, there's no way somebody can fill his shoes. So I just got to be me and be the person I am. And I'm lucky to have him stay around here with us and still part of the program. And, I coached under him for 13 years and lucky enough to be assistant for all 3 national championships. So, I learned so much from him that, I've never been one to put pressure on myself. Hey, I got to feel really Hunt shoes. I just got to be Ryan Hunt, be who I am. We're two different personalities. But we both have the same love and determination for this program and want to see them to succeed at the highest level. Not for any personal recognition, but for the program recognition. So I don't worry about that part of it. Trying to fill his shoes. I'm just thankful I got to coach under him, play under him. Learn so much from him, and I'm just, to be honest with you, I'm just thankful that Cumberland chose me to be able to follow him. He had no say-so in it whatsoever. A lot of people may think differently, but, he let them handle who they wanted to hire next. And thankfully it was me. But, like I said, I don't put that pressure on me to try to fill his shoes. I just try to, the other pressure is to try to keep this program to where it's at and where it's doing, and really just try to get it back on top where it belongs. And, we're not followers. We're not going to go where this program's supposed to be.
Ryan Hunt, baseball coach at Cumberland University, the Phoenix heading over to Kingsport for NAIA national competition starting on Monday. Coach, we appreciate your time and congratulations on the season and good luck on continuing it out to Idaho.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Bye-bye.
Hey, before we wind up this segment, let's give out a couple of our weekly awards. The first is our Custom Stone Handlers Into Win Life Team of the Week, and that goes to the Independence Eagles girls flag football team. The Eagles won 3 games last week, including a 21-20 overtime victory over Franklin, as well as a 26-19 win over Brentwood. Both those in regular season play. They also picked up a win in the Williamson County Girls Flag Football Tournament, defeating Franklin for the second time in a week, 13-6, before falling in the semifinals. Independence Girls Flag Football is our Custom Stone Handlers Into Win Life Team of the Week. Besides the military, there's no greater team building experience in sports. Custom Stone Handlers invites you to get in the game. Congratulations to the Lady Eagles. Also, our Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia Athlete of the Week is Battle Creek freshman Ryan Weber. Ryan Weber, who threw a 2-hit complete game shutout with 10 strikeouts in an elimination game for the Grizzlies as they defeated Loretto 7-0 over the weekend in 10-2A tournament action. Big win for the Grizzlies in their first season. Big performance by the freshman Ryan Weber, obviously in his first season. So congratulations to, again, our Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia Athlete of the Week, Ryan Weber of Battle Creek, and to our Custom Stone Handlers Into Win Life Team of the Week, the Independence Lady Eagles flag football team. Thanks again to Ryan Hunt for joining us on Coach's Corner. Let's take a break here on Throwback Thursday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more baseball of the professional variety. Stick around.
If you want the latest in weather conditions, be sure to tune in to our Busy Bee Plumbing Weather Report each weekday on Mornings on Main Street. Brought to you, of course, by Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning. we will keep you updated on the latest conditions outside, like severe weather, heat, snow, rain, and even hail.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. It's time to talk a little baseball, which means it's time for This Day in Baseball History. Mark. Eighth, 1971, after Willie Mays, goodness gracious, after Willie Mays hit a sixth-inning solo home run to break up a scoreless contest, Hank Aaron hit a 3-run shot in a 5-run ninth-inning rally as the visiting Atlanta Braves won 5-2 at San Francisco. It was the 634th homer of Mays' career and the 604th for Aaron, marking the first time in Major League Baseball history 2 600-homer hitters hit homers in the same game. That was this day in Braves history. A lot of homers last night at Truist Park. All of them, well, not all of them. 2 of them, though, were for the Cincinnati Reds, and they were pretty much the difference as the Reds downed Atlanta 4-3. Drake Baldwin hit one to get Atlanta on the board in the 6th. But 3-game win streak goes by the boards for the Braves. As Wade warned, Hunter Green was stellar when he was out there. 3 innings, 6 strikeouts, but suffered a groin strain as he was warming up for the 4th, had to come out, and is probably headed for the injured list. So you hate to see that for Cincinnati for sure. He's been probably, like we said, one of the better pitchers in the National League to this point of the season. Did not qualify for the decision because he didn't go 5, and that was unfortunate. But he and the bullpen got plenty of support. Again, TJ Friedel with a pair of solo home runs for Cincinnati in that win, and Atlanta once again unable to get to 500, falling to 17-19 with that loss. Cincinnati improving to 500 at 19-19 with the win. And they will go at it again tonight. Nick Lodolo, 3-3 with a 3.27 ERA, gets the start for the Reds. Spencer Schwellenbach, 1-3 with a 3.92, and he got absolutely shelled over the weekend, trying to bounce back tonight against the Reds. 6:15 start in that one down at Truist.
Scrappy win for the Reds yesterday. I mean, you obviously don't want to lose your ace. You certainly don't want to lose him that early into a game that he's kind of dealing, doing Hunter Green things. But you find a way to win. We've talked about how they had a lot of expectations, and obviously Hunter Green factored into a huge chunk of that equation. But Cincinnati, after a pretty dreadful start, kind of playing decent ball. And, man, you kind of got to be impressed with their ability to rally. They had 4 or 5 different pitchers were credited with holds yesterday. Talk about just being on standby and able to come up and put some fires out. That's a tough one for Atlanta. You obviously wish you'd have kind of maybe made more of the opportunity, considering he only goes 3 innings. Right. But yeah, hard not for me not to be impressed with Cincinnati's kind of resolve there. And it'll be interesting to see how long he indeed is out.
Yeah, you hope it's not long. I mean, obviously, I'm a Braves fan, and like you said, tough not to be able to take any better advantage of that situation than they were yesterday. But you don't want to see anybody get hurt, man. So hope that whatever that is, they caught it before it got too bad, and he's able to get some treatment and be back at it fairly quickly. I don't know what the time frame is for a groin strain for a starting major league pitcher, but I would imagine that they are going to err on the side of caution with that for sure, and take all the time that it needs for him to get back to full health and hopefully back in the groove, because again, he's pitching really well. Came into yesterday 4-2 with a 2.53 earned run average, and again struck out 6 in 3 innings of work, so he was rolling yesterday. Houston again won big at Milwaukee in a day game. Jeremy Pena with a 3-run homer. Framber Valdez goes 7 innings, strikes out 7, gives up just 3 hits and the 1 run. Nice win for the Astros as they get to 500 with that victory.
Yeah, good win for them. They moved to 500, and Milwaukee falls to 500. So kind of 2 perfectly average teams. Just like I said yesterday, it's two Rams that don't have their horns developed all the way yet, but they're still butting heads. And any win, good win for that was kind of much needed. I don't know. I'm not as optimistic as last year, where they can maybe, after a real slow start, kind of just turn things on. But, at least taking advantage of the games that are kind of presented before them. And good victory for the boys down there in H-Town.
It feels like they're just kind of treading water along with everybody else. It feels kind of like a 3,200-meter run where everybody's just kind of keeping pace, but nobody's ready to get into their kick just yet. So, and obviously, again, it is a marathon, not a sprint. So I still think they're going to be worth watching before it's all over with. They're off today before Cincinnati comes to H-Town, and hopefully the Braves can kind of wear them out a little bit tonight, maybe get into their bullpen, make them work a little bit, kind of soften them up for you, Wade.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Houston needs all the help they can get, because now not only are they trailing Seattle, the A's have lapped them. So the scrappy homeless, if you will, athletics are kind of making business. But yeah, Seattle has opened up a little distance, and Oakland / Sacramento / Vegas is kind of lingering in that realm as well. And Houston kind of got to be careful here. They need to start stacking a few wins kind of at a better clip than they're doing. They're 5-5 in their last 10.
Yeah. Nobody in danger of getting fired in Houston, I don't think.
Not yet.
Which is more than can be said in Pittsburgh. Derek Shelton got his walk-in papers earlier today. The Pirates off to a 12-26 start. Bench coach Don Kelly will take over the managerial duties for Shelton. Derek Shelton, in his 6th season, he has the dubious distinction of becoming the first Major League Baseball manager fired in 2025. The Pirates have lost their last 7 now. Again, 12-26, 10 games back in the NL Central, and 306 and 440 in 5+ seasons. Bob Nutting, the owner of the Pirates, Noted there is a lot of baseball left to be played. The team needed to act with a sense of urgency and take the steps necessary to fix this now to get back on track as a team and organization. Called the first quarter of the season frustrating and painful for all of us. Now, again, flashing back to the Mississippi State situation with Chris Lemonis a couple of weeks ago that we talked about, what were the expectations for the Pirates coming into this season? I mean, I know 12-26 isn't great baseball, but I don't know that anybody expected them to be 26-12, did they?
Probably not to that level. Yeah, that'd be leading the division. Not to that level. I think a lot of folks are frustrated because they are dead last and last by a wide margin. But coming into the season, I think it was a fair assumption that maybe Cubs, probably the consensus, and then you got some combo of Brewers, Reds, Pirates, Cardinals, all kind of jumbled up in a mix. Personally, I had kind of rated the Brewers second and then the Pirates third, just maybe on sheer upside and thinking that upside might carry them a little ways, but it has not panned out. And things have gone from bad to worse, kind of seemingly. Your only selling point at this point is really Skeens, and obviously we've talked about his troubles recently, so somebody's got to go, and it ain't going to be Skeens. So happy trails to Mr. Shelton.
No, it's not going to be Skeens. It's not going to be Brian Reynolds. It's not going to be O'Neal Cruz. So, yeah, it's easier to fire one than the saying used to be 25, but now that the rosters have expanded, 26, I guess. So, yeah, happy trails, Derek. It's kind of unfortunate. I mean, you talk about them being last in the Central, but they were also 26th in Major League Baseball in terms of payroll. And, you know, I don't know. It just feels like maybe the team has been a little reflective of what was put into it. And,
I can see that argument for sure.
Yeah, and, you know, Kelly isn't going to necessarily make things any better, at least not immediately, because Pittsburgh has the Braves, the Mets, and the Phillies for their next 9 games.
Talk about bad to worse. That is,
yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a murderer's row, particularly Atlanta, which still isn't above 500 yet, but the Mets and Philly, well, the Mets more so than Philly, but yeah, all 3 of those teams are teams that definitely came into the season with postseason designs, and Pittsburgh was really going to have to catch lightning in a bottle or something to make that happen. So, it's tough. Somebody, like you said, somebody has to pay the price for being 12-26, I guess, and I guess we see who it is. But I'm interested to see how this change positively impacts the Pirates, who are not just having their issues on the field. You know, we talked about the young man falling out of the seating area and falling 21 feet to the field last week. An employee at PNC Park has been suspended after taking his belt off and whipping a fan during a game. I think it was on Monday or Tuesday night, Sunday night. During the Pirates-Padres game, a video shows the employee and a fan having a verbal confrontation. The employee punched the fan at least 3 times. The fan spit on the employee. The employee took off his belt and whipped him. But this all started when this fan was having an issue with a female employee and harassing and perhaps assaulting her. So this employee was basically taken up for another employee when all of this occurred. And there's video. So all of this should shake out probably. But yeah, you've got a concessions employee who has been suspended at PNC Park for punching a fan. I mean, I get it. It's probably not great, but I don't know that fans need to be harassing employees either. So,
yeah, and I will admit I did take a peek at this one, and this is not up there with the Montgomery dock brawl by any means in terms of the great brawl videos on the internet. But when you whip off the belt, I mean that's a crafty move that does not get deployed as often as I feel like it should. And this guy probably could have taken him straight up anyway, but when you bring the belt into the mix, I'm surprised the fans living to tell about it here. He's probably dealing with his own set of repercussions as well.
well, I mean, when you're acting like a child, maybe you deserve to be treated like a child. I don't know. That's crazy on its face, but I think when you dive a little deeper into it, it's like, I don't condone it, but I understand to some degree. Finally, before we get out of our baseball segment, a couple of things. One, we mentioned Robbie Ray on yesterday's show. The former Brentwood Bruin did improve to 5-0 as San Francisco defeated the Cubs 3-1 last night. He threw 6 innings, allowed 3 hits and just the 1 run before the Giants bullpen deployed for 3 scoreless innings to, again, get that 5th win and keep Robbie Ray undefeated on the season. The Sounds and Norfolk continue at 6:35 tonight. Norfolk with a 4-run 10th last night to win that one 10-6. And former Detroit Tiger Chet Lemon has died at the age of 70. ESPN is reporting his passing. 3-time All-Star, a member of that 1984 World Series championship team. His wife said he was sleeping on his reclining sofa and was not responsive. Died at home in Florida earlier today. Played 7 years with the White Sox, 8 with the Tigers. 215 career homers, 884 ribs, 973 runs, and 1,875 games in just under 1,875 hits in 1,988 games. So, heck of a career, and sure he will be missed by particularly the Tigers organization. Again, big member of that 84 World Series championship team. And condolences to the family and to the Tigers organization on the passing of Chet Lemon at the age of 70. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports today as we approach the top of hour number 1 here on Throwback Thursday. When we come back, it is Throwback Thursday. We'll be throwing it back to a recent conversation with Travis Copley of Old Hickory Bats. Stick around. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
It's hour number 2 of Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. As we mentioned, we're getting ready to throw it back to a recent conversation that we had with Travis Copley of Old Hickory Bats. If you recall, the first few days, first week, 2 weeks of the Major League Baseball season, much was being made of the torpedo bats being used particularly by the New York Yankees and the power outbursts that they experienced in their opening series against Milwaukee. And, the talk about the bats kind of continued over again. The early portion of the season seems to have died down a little bit, but Travis kind of shed some light on, the evolution of those bats and just how they are coming along, how Major League players and others are kind of picking up on them. Are they liking them? How much more of an impact do we expect to see from them? That kind of thing. So it was an interesting conversation, I thought. And so we figured we'd go back to it once again. If you missed it the first time, or if you caught it the first time and just want to see it again.
Yeah, it's worth a re-listen.
I'd agree. I would agree. So with that, let's throw it back to T-Cop. The party rolling. We are pleased to be joined now by Travis Copley of Old Hickory Bats, because bats have kind of been the topic of conversation across Major League Baseball here over the past, 10 days or so. T-Cop is joining us audio only, but Travis, thanks for taking some time with us today. Good afternoon.
My pleasure, Mo. Wade, how you doing, man?
Hey, good.
Travis, torpedo bats didn't just come out of nowhere this year. I mean, take us back to what we should know about these bats, prior to the Yankees bludgeoning the Brewers with them over opening weekend of the season.
Right. So the timeline on these things track back to 2023. That's when we first got involved with the Yankees and kind of designing some bats using data that they had accumulated with specific players. The thought process there was to take the bat customization to a different level. And they were looking at things like swing and miss rate, contact point, exit velocities off of different parts of the bat, how, a certain mass at a certain area affects the flight of the ball, all that stuff that's really over my head. And so what they were able to do is kind of come back to us with some design ideas. We were able to put some bats together. I can promise you they were not called torpedo bats in 2023. That has kind of taken on a life of its own. But that was kind of the infancy of what is now deemed the torpedo bat and what we're seeing in the major leagues now.
Okay, so those are y'all's bats?
The ones that the Yankees were using, I believe, were Victus, Marucci, and Chandler, the three guys, or Louisville Slugger.
Oh, okay.
3 guys. But yes, I think you hit the nail on the head earlier. This didn't just happen a week and a half ago. For us at Old Hickory, we started introducing these things right about the All-Star break of last year to certain guys, and really with a different purpose to them. than what they're seeing now. And as we've learned our way through this and continue to learn our way through this, and by a week and a half after opening day, every team has started some sort of program to analyze this further. You know, we have meetings daily on reconfiguring bat barrels and shifting the center mass and balance points and all that good stuff.
How much does your background as a player, Travis, help you in this whole discourse?
I feel like quite a bit. You know, I'm a little bit older now, but I still speak the baseball language. And so you've really got two languages being spoken right now. You've got the scientific language and then the ball player language. And in no shape or form am I putting myself in the scientific category, but I understand it just enough to be dangerous, but I feel like I can translate it pretty well to the players. And then the flip side of that is I can take what the players are telling us and showing us and translate that back into some data that we can use to build their bats.
You know, I'm not a very bright individual, I guess, but I just never thought about exit velocities off of different parts of the bat. I just thought about off the bat, whether it's off the end of the bat, whether it's off the center, whether it's by the label. I mean, I know that there is obviously a place on the bat where you want to make contact, but I just never really was getting that deep into it as a fan. Obviously, there are other people who are paid to dig a little deeper into that, and that's what they've done here.
Well, I'll tell you, I think the most interesting thing that I've learned to date with this is that if you were to ask the average player, we'll just take a player at any level that's not kind of, you know, studying this new wave of bat designs and ask them to point out the sweet spot in their bat, and then you were to go analyze where they're actually hitting the ball, on average, they're about 3 inches lower where they think they're hitting and where they actually are hitting.
Oh, wow.
And that's kind of the crux of this program is, you know, A, you guys don't hit the ball where you think you're hitting the ball, and B, what if we were to make that the biggest part of the bat?
That's the part that I find fascinating, Travis, and I'm also curious, kind of what was the real genesis on this? You know, we've heard kind of so much. I feel like we're all trying to become experts as quick as we can on this phenomenon here, but was it just kind of a wild idea, or, you know, was this something that there was some real science behind it? It just took a while to implement, and we're just kind of now, like you said, 2 years after the fact, really kind of seeing it take off.
I think it was a couple of wild ideas that were brought forth at the exact time that I don't want to say science, but the technology allowed them to be kind of experimented with. And so I think you had some teams that were concerned about the swing and miss rate with their players. Obviously with exit velocity, they've actually created a term now. It's called deviated exit velocity, or deviated launch angle, excuse me. And it's basically where you hit a ball off the center of the bat and you get like a great launch angle, but now they're wondering if that ball could have gone foul, if that bat was a different shape, and you get another life at the plate. So yeah, it was kind of, you know, we're swinging and missing too much. Let's not change swings. Let's change the bats, kind of an idea thing. And then all of a sudden the scientific people went, well, we have this great system called the Hawkeye system that we can put in what size bat Mike Trout's swinging, and we can show exactly where he's hitting the ball most consistent on his home runs, his doubles, his miss hits. And then if we can marry those two together, let's see what happens.
I'm also curious, there may not be a right answer for this, but say we're humor me here, on a scale of 1 to 100, kind of how close is this too close to breaking the rules for MLB's like? And are we teetering toward that? Are we putting it right up to the edge, or do we still have some room for growth, I guess, in this area, do you think?
The way the rules are written right now, it's a 0 on that scale.
Okay.
It conforms in every way to what Major League Baseball has laid out. The last major rules adjustment was 2009, I think, 9 or 10, right in there. And so, yeah, it follows along with what they've implemented, what has worked for the last decade and a half, as far as the bat safety and the bat performance goes. They're just weird looking. And I think that's what took everybody off guard with it. You know, if the Yankees had come out and hit, you know, a dozen home runs opening weekend and somebody asked what they did differently, and they said, oh, it was a bunch of swing mechanic changes, this is a non-story at that point. But when they came out and said, oh, torpedo bats, everyone went, wait, what? What's a torpedo bat? And then you get, Jazz Chisholm having to go online saying, I'm not hitting the ball off of my trademark. That would break the bat. He's absolutely right. But, that was one of the first stories that came out with him, is that he was hitting the ball so low that they blew up the trademark for him so he could hit.
And I suppose we're not having this conversation if the Yankees score 3 runs on opening weekend. That's the part that's you got to have a little bit of a spark, kind of like going viral on the internet, right? I mean, it seems like lightning in a bottle sense. And the real question, I guess, I'm also fascinated by is how much now is this going to become a copycat issue? Because Mo and I both have talked with multiple guests. Baseball is such a weird and kind of unique and niche sport in terms of its idiosyncrasies. And it feels like some guys, you could give them all the data in the world, and if it just doesn't feel right, they're not going to adjust to it.
So, funny story, the Saturday night of opening day weekend, the first phone call I got from a player, his question was, if the Yankees hit $135 this year, is the torpedo bat still a thing?
I mean, it's fair to ask, right?
Yeah, probably not, but they didn't, and I don't think they will. So we probably need to look into this. The second part of that, I think there's enough science behind this and enough data that proves this to be a worthy venture. Maybe not for all players, but for a lot of players. I think it does start out as kind of a copycat type of deal. Where it gets really interesting on the bat manufacturer side and even the player side is that it's something other than the length, weight, and color that you can customize on a bat for a guy. Like, we can literally take data from individual players and create their own unique bat. And so we've
like a golf club, essentially, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we've talked about, you guys are familiar with bat models, a C271. In a couple of years, that doesn't exist anymore. Now it's a Mo Patton one and a, Wade the Hammer one. And those are your bats. Like nobody else would use them. They may pick it up and like it and go, hey, can you take this bat? But here's my data. Now customize it to me. So it's almost like a golf club where we're fitting barrels onto handles of bats to make guys more productive at the plate.
Travis Copley of Old Hickory Bats joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, and dropping some knowledge on us regarding the famous or infamous torpedo bats. Obviously, again, it was the Yankees' performance in that opening weekend series against Milwaukee that kind of thrust these bats to the forefront. And it's funny, Travis, because Wade made the point that maybe it ain't the bats, maybe it's the Brewers pitchers. And it's to that point, both of them have kind of settled down. The Yankees have not obviously kept up that pace. The Brewers have thrown it a little bit better here of late. But do you expect this to continue? I mean, is it going to be a thing, or does this kind of become less of a talking point by the All-Star break?
I think out in front of the game, it becomes less of a talking point, but behind the scenes, it hasn't slowed down. You're talking about a game where 1 mile an hour, a half an inch, a half a step, a wrong angle is a difference in a hit, an error, an out, $1 million, $10 million. So if there's a perceived advantage there, for a player, whether it's a hitter, pitcher, whatever, they're going to, and I hate to use the word exploit, they're going to research that until they're confident that either, yes, this is for me, or no, it's not. My best guess on this is that as this continues, I don't think that the quote unquote torpedo bats are going away. I think they will kind of settle down in their shape and design, because I think guys that have, especially guys that have used one style of bat, one profile of bat for any length of time, are going to want these torpedo bats to feel more and more like what they're used to. And that will necessitate even more design changes on our end, where I think the barrels will kind of creep back into normalcy. Now, with all these teams starting new programs, I also think that this is going to be kind of like a wave rollout, where you're going to have 2 or 3 teams that hit on it, and all of a sudden they're all swinging the torpedo bat. So that's where I think it would stay out in front of the game, but behind the scenes, it's definitely we're texting, calling, emailing, conference calling with people and teams every day.
How far down does this come, Travis? I mean, you've got a youngster who played at Page. I mean, does this come down to minor leagues, to college, to high school, to youth ball? I mean, how far down do the torpedo bats get in some way, shape, or form?
In the wood bat world, it's going to go all the way down to youth amateur ball, which is 8th grade through college summer ball. I don't know. Let me back up. I think it will make an appearance in the aluminum bat world, but I think when you really get into why this is being done and what you're trying to accomplish with it, it doesn't make a ton of sense in aluminum bats. It makes a lot more sense in wood bats with it. But yeah, I mean, my younger son's 17 years old. He's a senior, and every day he asks where his torpedo bat is.
Well, where is it, Dad?
No, it's in process.
Travis, is there a weather component to this? Is this something that swings pardon my pun there, swings one way or the other, better, worse? Is there any sort of weather element at play with this as we heat up?
Could be. I mean, we're so far on the front end of this that a lot of these questions we don't have answers for. The one we get a lot is the torpedo bat more or less durable than a traditional shape bat? Don't have an answer for you. We'll have to let that play out and see what the results are. The one nice thing about that is Major League Baseball at the big league level, they collect and notarize all broken bats in game. So we'll start getting numbers on that back pretty quick.
Yeah.
Teacup, always fun getting to catch up with you, man. Really appreciate you shedding some light on this situation as only you could. And thank you for your time.
No, my pleasure, guys. I appreciate it. And Mo, look forward to seeing you at the ball yard soon.
Sounds good, man. Thank you. Travis Copley of Old Hickory Bats joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia.
Get ready, race fans. NASCAR is back in Music City with a new name, the Cracker Barrel 400. Guitars, fast cars, and the comfort of Cracker Barrel's country hospitality. May 30th through June 1st. The action kicks off Friday night at Nashville Super Speedway with the Rackley Roofing 200. Then the Tennessee Lottery 250 on Saturday. And Sunday night, NASCAR's top stars under the lights in the Cracker Barrel 400. Get your tickets now at NashvilleSuperspeedway.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. Joining us now is our favorite NBA expert, Landon SECREST, recent Belmont graduate, and currently on the job hunt, Landon?
Yes. Job search is heating up right now, so everybody keep on watch for what's next for me.
Is the pressure heating up at home for you to get off of the payroll? How is that going with Mama and Daddy SECREST?
Yeah, the environment's still good. It's good to be back home with the family. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I'll say on that.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. We did see you and your dad out taking in some high school basketball games here during the postseason. So it was I guess things are still good. They're not too on you just yet. But yeah. Good luck with that. Hopefully things break the right way and that stays cool. Did want to talk to you about some NBA postseason play, though. Obviously, we will start because I know where you want to start, but we will start with the Knicks going up 2-1 at Boston with a 91-90 win over the Celtics last night. Wade and I talked a little bit about Indiana and Cleveland and how the Cavs are kind of fighting it here all of a sudden. Ditto for Boston, I would think, because they've got to go to MSG for the next two now.
Yeah, it's been the Eastern Conference series right now have been really surprising for me, at least. My father's actually a Celtics fan. So speaking of the household and family dynamic right now, not necessarily the greatest with the Celtics being down 0-2 to the Knicks. And then Cleveland, obviously, I root for the Cavaliers because of the Darius Garland connection. I want to see him play, and he hasn't played because he's been hurt. And that gives me a chance to root for the Pacers with the Belmont connection of Ben Shepherd. So it's surprising that the Pacers are up 2-0. And I would say it's definitely surprising, at least for me, who's closely followed the Celtics as well during the season, that they're down 0-2 to the Knicks in the fashion that they've lost the first two games.
Which of those two teams that's down 0-2 has a better chance of getting to the next round, do you think?
I still think it's the Celtics because when you look at Cleveland, I mean, Donovan Mitchell had 48 points without both of the stars, Mobley and Garland, and their health is up in the air. We don't know if they're going to return and what level they're going to return. And when it's a one-man show with him, he does all of that, and he still can't get the job done. They're now going to go to Indiana. I think it'll be a tougher uphill climb for them, and we obviously know what Boston is capable of. They're the defending champions. You have to respect that, and you have to expect them to get it right in clutch time in the next two games, although they'll be on the road because it's been horrible for the first two games of the series.
Yeah, Landon, I was going to ask you, among the four teams, it was a wild start to round two, right, with all four road teams getting wins, and you kind of tiptoed into that. Which of those four teams should we be most concerned about if we're going to do a power rankings or a freak out rankings, I guess? Mm-hmm. It seems like the Cavs would be number one on your list because of kind of some of those reasons with the injuries you mentioned.
Yeah, I would say the Cleveland Cavaliers right now have the greatest level of concern. I've seen a lot of comparisons of the Atlanta Hawks from years ago that won 60 games and then turned out to be playoff frauds, for lack of a better phrase. I don't know if we can say that right now about the Cleveland Cavaliers, although they were the one seed, won 60-plus games. But it's not looking good right now considering, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell are the backcourt for Cleveland. And although Ty Jerome has had great moments during the season, they're getting outplayed by Halliburton and Nembhard just flat out in the first two games of this series. And when you have the one seed level season that they had, that can't happen in the playoffs. So they've got to do something. So I think that the concern level is really high because they've got to at least put up a fight because they were number one in the East.
They say they're, quote, optimistic about their big three players that are injured right now. I'm not sure what level of optimism they're projecting there, but it feels like at least one or two of those guys has to go. They're still a small favorite somehow, some way in Friday night's matchup. But it does feel like it, to me at least, Landon, that one or two of those guys minimum, especially Mobley, if you can get him in there as your defensive stopper, it feels like one of those two pieces has to be in play or else they're really cooked in this series.
Yeah, I agree. The Pacers are one of those fast-paced teams that can get up and down, and obviously it's great when Halliburton is scoring, and that's where the Pacers will go. They thrive when he's actually getting buckets himself, although he's a great passer, getting everybody else involved. But when you throw somebody like Evan Mobley, defensive stopper, even at whatever level he'll be post-injury, dealing with an injury, a lingering injury, his presence has to impact the series somehow. So I think at least him being out there could change a little bit.
Landon SECREST joining us talking a little NBA, and now the moment he's been waiting for. Oklahoma City 149, Denver 106 last night. It sounds like everything clicked for the Thunder.
Yeah, I was really happy. In the first game, we were up around 15 to 20 points. And then obviously the meltdown late in the fourth quarter in the last 30 seconds or so. And it's been interesting for me watching this series and especially tracking the season series with Denver, because the play of Aaron Gordon is really, a level that's changed this series. In the first game, he obviously hit the game-winning three-pointer, but there were times in the regular season when these two teams matched up and his fingerprints were all over the game offensively and defensively. Last night in the game, although we were up 30 at times, I was, somewhat uncomfortable because I see Aaron Gordon hitting pull-up, sidestep, between the legs threes, and that's not necessarily Aaron Gordon's bag. So although it was a great win, I do have some reservations going back to Denver because my eyes are on Aaron Gordon. He's impactful against the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'll say that.
Landon, what do you make of last night? The Thunder, 87 points in the first half, which is a new postseason record for the NBA. Was this kind of inevitable in a sense? To me, watching that game, it felt like obviously OKC is shooting the laces off the ball. They're playing so well. But it also felt like pretty early in that contest, Denver kind of said, we picked up our one road win. We're good on game two. I'm curious kind of how you saw it unfold because it was systematic destruction across the board for the Thunder.
Yeah, I think so. When you look at the depth of the Oklahoma City roster, Daigneault playing 10 to 11 guys at times, and they're all impactful on the game, which is really rare in the playoffs. The rotations get tighter, but the Oklahoma City Thunder have a way of inserting players and getting different lineups out there on the floor, and we saw that to the full extent last night, and everybody's hitting three-pointers. I mean, the first couple of possessions of the game, I was wondering why Lou Dort was getting three-pointers. You would think the first touches would go to Shea or Chet Holmgren, but he started to knock them down early, and that was a good sign, and it became contagious. But I think it's also a good sign for Denver. Although they lost, it may sound crazy, but Jokic got a lot of rest in that fourth quarter. And going back home,
fouled out in the third, basically.
Yeah, he got a lot of rest down the stretch, and people really thought, what is Jokic doing? Obviously, he plays great most of the time, and he just fouled out of the game, and everybody was like, okay, well, this is going to mail it in for the Thunder. But he got a lot of rest, and that could be beneficial going back with 2 home games. They've already stolen one. I think that's something that could fly under the radar there.
To Landon's point, when Isaiah Joe and Cason Wallace are running fast breaks and let alone knocking down threes, good night, Irene. That game was done and dusted by halftime.
Yeah, definitely.
Not an Isaiah Joe fan, Wade? Come on now.
I mean, he was 4 for 4. Isaiah Joe is playing for the Thunder. That means they're up a lot or down a lot. And when he's 4 for 4 from 3, when the role players are burying triples, it was a wrap.
Agreed.
Landon SECREST joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Talking a little NBA. What's the level of concern for the Warriors up 1-0 heading into game 2 at Minnesota tonight, but without Steph Curry, not for this one and probably not for the next 2 back at home either?
Yeah, it's really interesting this series. We know how great Steph Curry is and his ability to carry a team, in the playoffs, and his magnificent three-point shooting. And the fact that the Warriors already stole a game in this series, I think is monumental, considering they'll maybe without him for the next 2, potentially 3 games. And, Anthony Edwards did not have a good game for the Timberwolves. The shooting woes were just absolutely outrageous in that first game. But the Warriors will be able to put up a fight, behind Jimmy Butler as the leader of the team for the next couple of games. But the fact that they already have a win, I think is extremely important, even if the Timberwolves end up winning 2 out of the next 3, and you have the optimism that Steph Curry can come back. I think the Warriors have to feel good with what they're currently standing with. Obviously, you want Curry on the floor, but if he's not on the floor, you already have a win under your belt. You got to feel good.
Landon, break down for me that game kind of in particular. Did we see the team kind of just running on adrenaline, Golden State that is, with Curry being out? Or are there a little more concerns about the Timberwolves, who everybody kind of got wrapped up in, and they beat the Lakers, which on paper maybe means something, but maybe doesn't quite mean as much as we initially thought. I'm kind of curious. It seems like you kind of lean that Golden State's still in not that bad of a shape right now.
Yeah, I don't think Golden State is in bad shape. I saw a quote about Anthony Edwards and his play in the first game. Obviously, superstar level player, but going into a matchup, he faced the Lakers and he got the Lakers out of the way last round. But you can't come into these types of playoff games with a predetermined mindset. You almost have to be a reactionary player and be a superstar caliber player with what the Warriors give you as far as defensive looks. And I think we saw that in the first game and it became kind of infectious with the rest of his team that they were kind of confused out there and they really didn't know what to do. And obviously if Ant's not going well, it's kind of hard because you go to Julius Randle and then Naz Reid, DiVincenzo. Who do you really go for as far as the offense on the Timberwolves? I think for the Timberwolves to get back and, on track in the series and maybe steal a couple games while Curry is out is how I would put it. Ant needs to figure out what he wants to do offensively and take that role and take that stand and not be so predetermined and I'm going to do this. I'm going to shoot so many threes in this game. Just go out there and play ball. And I think that is how the Timberwolves will have success.
So, Wade asked you about the panic meters on the Eastern side. Who's in the best shape? Who's in the worst shape, theoretically, out of the West?
I think the Oklahoma City Thunder are in the best shape. I'm going to go out there and say that, bias fully. But when you look at the level that they played at last game, it showed the potential that if they play and make their shots, it's not close at all. And when you look at that first game in that series, it was obviously not necessarily close, and it got closer down the stretch. But for the most part, if Oklahoma City's making their shots and firing on all cylinders offensively and defensively like they did in the regular season, they've got to be as good as gold. So I think they've got to feel great now that they're back on track and momentum going into Denver. Got to feel confident about their play. And then panic, I would still say the Timberwolves because, how are they going to supplement knowing they're facing a Warriors team without Steph Curry? Are they going to go out there and go full steam like we saw the Oklahoma City Thunder go against the Nuggets and just wax them and make a statement that we're going to go out here and we're going to do this? Or are they just going to kind of sit back and play with the Warriors and mess around and lose again? And then you're down 2-0 to a Curry-less Warriors team. That's going to be a disaster. They can't let that happen.
I'm going to go out on a limb, guys. Curry or no Curry, if Minnesota puts up 88 points again, they're going to lose.
Yeah,
that's kind of a hot take right there. And if Naz Reid is your second or third leading scorer, like Naz Reid's game, but if you're relying on him, to your point earlier, Landon, if you're relying on him for that production, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, I agree. It's finding the second score, taking away your second move, finding your third move, and so on and so forth. How are the Timberwolves going to respond? I think that's the biggest thing that we need to see as viewers.
I will say this. The one thing, I do think this is the most fun coaching matchup in terms of the chess match. I love Chris Finch, and obviously I love Steve Kerr. So I feel like this will be a matchup of adjustments. Obviously Curry's absence will be a huge part of that, but it feels like the coaching kind of tinkering between games is what's going to be fun to watch as this series continues.
Yep, I agree. Two great coaches out here.
How disappointing would it be for the Cavaliers to not make the Eastern Conference Finals?
I think, with so many all-stars on that team, getting the 1 seed, having, really a surprising season by so many people's standards, Donovan Mitchell really performing on a high stage that we've seen him play. We know he was a good player, but he's, at the forefront of this Cleveland Cavaliers team, and then to not even make it to the conference finals, that's got to be a disappointment, considering, the level of play and the leap that the Cavaliers have made. We've seen them ascending, but at some point you've got to make that next step. We saw it with the Pacers. They're already making that step. They've already made that step. Teams in the past in the Eastern Conference, in the LeBron Eastern Conference, making that step and getting to the conference finals, in their moment. I think this season would be the Cavaliers' moment, and, injuries always play a part in the playoffs, but you've got to be disappointed if you don't even put up a fight to get to the conference finals, and that's what it's looking like right now.
stepping out of the postseason realm just a second, Landon, what are your thoughts regarding the Grizzlies, the way they fizzled toward the end? I mean, wasn't necessarily a surprise that they did not go any further than they did, but with Ja being unavailable late once again, that kind of thing. Where is that franchise, and where is that franchise with regards to its superstar, do you feel like?
Yeah, I don't really know what the status of the Memphis Grizzlies would be heading into next season. There's been a lot of rumors, at least some rumblings that they could potentially move a Ja Morant or a Jaren Jackson or a Bane. And I don't know which one of those you would move heading into a next season, because I look at Ja Morant. He's your most talented player. He's your ticket seller. He's got the brand. He is the Memphis Grizzlies. You've got Jaren Jackson, your defensive star. You've got Bane, who's out there on the wing, can score in bunches. I don't know how you choose which one to move on from, and the implications that can have on the team with only two of those stars players but available. But I think, the biggest question and out of those three is Ja Morant and his ability to stay on the court. That's what the Grizzlies are going to live and die for as long as he's there in Memphis. He needs to be on the court. And when he is, things go well. But when he's not, I mean, things just go and it's a ripple effect and it gets really bad. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered in this offseason, but pretty much all of them revolve around Ja, Mo. I would say so.
They had obviously an abysmal season last year, riddled with injuries, and then Landon for half of this year, it seemed like they were kind of back to good. Are they still, in my mind, are clearly well behind the Thunder in the West, and OKC ain't getting any weaker, it feels like, for the next several seasons. How much of a leap, if they do make a move, if they keep that core intact and they kind of bring in a shooter here, a shooter there, is that enough to kind of solidify that spot maybe at number 2 in your mind? Or they still need do they need to swing higher than that for maybe another superstar via trade or what have you?
I think, the Grizzlies, in order to get back into that top of the West conversation, now you're going to have to leap teams like a Denver that's going to have Jokic, an ascending Rockets team that could potentially make a move for a superstar that kind of overtook the Grizzlies this year. T-Wolves with Anthony Edwards, and then you've got the Lakers with Luka and LeBron. So there's a lot of teams that the Grizzlies sort of fell behind, and you put the superstars and the trades in the mix, and you look at how many people would be willing to go play in Memphis. There's always the question of that, and what package could they put together to acquire a legitimate star to put beside a Ja Morant or a Jaren Jackson? And how much of an impact would that even have on the West? Does that really shake things up? Does that really scare other teams out there? As you mentioned, Wade, OKC, one of the deepest teams. If you're trading for a superstar in your Memphis, you're sacrificing some of your depth already. So I don't really know. It's kind of a confusing. I wouldn't like to be in the position as the coach or the management down in Memphis, because there's some tough decisions that are going to have to be made.
Real quick, while we're talking hypotheticals, OKC has so many talented players. They have so many assets. They got basically a zillion draft picks for the next couple of years. If they win it all, what kind of offseason do they have? If they don't win it all, what kind of offseason do they have in your mind?
I'm really satisfied with the lineups that have been presented this year. Obviously, it's been a successful season, and it would be a disappointment not to make it to the finals and the conference finals and all of that. But when you look at the makeup of the roster, and there could be a star that could be packaged to acquire for this team. When you look at the assets that they have,
a star in Milwaukee, perhaps.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people dangle Jalen Williams out there. I would rather the Thunder maybe trade him than a Chet Holmgren. But dangling him and a couple of other players in a potential package for someone like Giannis or a, surefire superstar, that's something that the Oklahoma City Thunder can legitimately do. We'll see how this season and the postseason plays out. I think that'll contribute to what they decide in the offseason. But there's definitely potential, Wade. I say these players are attractive when you see them play like they did. Even the role players in a game like last night, some other teams are going to want them, whether they sign them in free agency or want them in a trade package. I think, that's going to be definitely apparent in the offseason.
Yeah, Casey Wallace just made a couple $1 million with some of those steals and fast break dunks last night, I feel like.
Definitely.
Landon SECREST joining us here talking NBA on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Landon, as always, man, we appreciate it. Keep us posted on that job search. Good luck to you and your dad and those Celtics, I guess. And look forward to getting you back on here soon.
Yep. Thank you, Mo. Thank you, Wade. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Right.
See you soon.
Let's take our final break of the day here on Throwback Thursday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. When we come back, it's the grab bag, and we got some flag football updates for you. So stick around.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Again, that's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. This is the grab bag as we tie up some loose ends to close out the show. Let's start in Murfreesboro, where the flag football state invitational tournament is down to 3 teams now. We'll get you caught up. In addition to that Green Hill quarterfinal victory that we mentioned earlier in the show, Stone Memorial defeated Arlington, Walker Valley, Edge, Liberty Creek 13-12, and Ravenwood with a 21-19 win over Pearl Cone. So in your semifinals, Stone Memorial has advanced with a 27-21 win over Green Hill. Walker Valley and Ravenwood apparently are in overtime as we speak. And
how does overtime work?
You line up, it's like conversions, basically.
Okay. I like that.
You line up and you go for either one or two, the distances being the difference in those two. And so, there we go. The Raptors with an interception on Stone Memorial's conversion attempt win it 14-13 in OT. It'll be Ravenwood and hang on.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be Ravenwood and Stone Memorial in the final. I think someone was a little jumbled in their tweet. Ravenwood defeated Walker Valley 14-13 in overtime. Stone Memorial defeated Green Hill 27-21. So Stone Memorial and Ravenwood will play for the championship. That game is supposed to be at 5 o'clock. I wonder if they will move it up, especially if they hear the rumbling that I've been listening to here for the last little bit. If that's going on over in Murfreesboro, it wouldn't surprise me if they push that ahead a little bit, maybe try to get ahead of some weather. But it'll be Stone Memorial and Ravenwood for the first girls flag football state championship in TSSAA history.
Best of luck to those squads. And speaking of weather, Mo, real quickie, We mentioned in the rundown, Richland was set to meet Santa Fe, and then perhaps the winner of that game going to play Cornersville. Nobody's playing ball. They've already called theirs off due to the severe weather that is matriculating around the area. So half of that has been done. And earlier in the show, we spoke to Ryan Hunt, who's the Cumberland coach, the NAI baseball tournament, going to be represented by the Phoenix there. UT Southern sneaking in. Talk about sneaking in at the buzzer, Mo. I don't know where they ranked, but they had to be one of the last at-large berths. But UT Southern found out last night they're going to their first NAI national tournament since 2016. So props to Coach Murphy and the Firehawks, who will be making their way in there.
Well, that's awesome. Where are they going? Do we know?
Yeah, they're going to Fayette, Missouri for their regional. They got a five-teamer as well. LSU Alexandria is in there. Central Methodist will be your host. The always famous British Columbia. Yes, that British Columbia. They'll be in there, as well as Campbellsville, Kentucky. So that action gets underway. Our good friend Abby Pipkins, staff photographer to Pulaski Citizen, who has a little skin in the game. Her daughter Hannah Hill's on the team. She'll be out there shooting pics for us next week in Fayette, Missouri. So best of luck to the Firehawks.
Okay. All right. Congrats to them. That's awesome. Let's continue with postseason coverage here on Main Street Sports today. A little professional ice hockey. Toronto takes a 2-0 lead in their conference finals against the Florida Panthers, winning 4-3 last night. The Maple Leafs trying to make you and Ann Kimmel look a little silly.
They're holding serve. They played very, very well. Mitch Marner has been playing out of his mind for Toronto, and they continue to scrape together wins. You know, played 2 at home. Let's see how you do on American soil, Toronto. And you just don't got to go anywhere. You got to go to Florida. So let me know how that works out for you.
That could be pretty interesting down there, no doubt. Dallas takes a 1-0 lead in its semifinal against Winnipeg with a 3-2 victory last night.
Yeah, epic game. This one was fun from the jump. Nobody scored in the first, and all 5 of the goals actually came in the second period. Dallas ends up scoring a pair to take a 2-1 lead. But wait, there's more. Nico Harrison, yeah, he traded Lukin. Yeah, he's public enemy number 1, and nobody really cares about hockey in the grand scheme of things in Dallas. But Mikko Rantanen coming in via the trade at the deadline for the Stars is every bit of as big of a fleecing as in that deal. He was on fire. He had all 3. He had a natty hattie, as you call it, 3 in a row, putting them up 3-1. Shifley got a late goal in the second, 3-2. Nobody scored in the third. Epic game, though, and kind of my suspicions were a little confirmed. Dallas has been playing so hot. Winnipeg, despite being the number 1 seed, a little banged up. And we got a barn burner last night. It lived up to the billing, but yeah, Rantanen is on fire and feels like the pickup of the century right now.
Carolina and Edmonton each picked up victories on the road. Game 2 tonight. Carolina is at the Caps. Edmonton is at Vegas. Thoughts, Mr. Neely?
Should be fun. I'll defer to Pulaski Citizen and UT Southern photographer Guy Schaefer, who hails from the Great North, and so he knows a lot more about hockey than I do. And he described the Hurricanes. They're just a working man's team. They're flying so under the radar, which is kind of funny considering they're called the Hurricanes. But they're flying so under the radar that it's unreal, and they are a strong team that is kind of just quietly going about their business. It's not necessarily the flashiest. They're not necessarily bothered one bit by not getting the accolades and the attention. Everybody's focusing on Florida and Toronto, and everybody's focusing on Washington. But quietly, Hurricanes playing very, very well. So it was kind of interesting to see them go in there and snag game 1. I'll be curious to see if they get game 2. And I'm really just curious to see, does Vegas pick itself up off the mat after they fell flat on their face, blowing a 2-goal lead in game 1? If they got a little backbone, if they show a little spine, I kind of like where they're potentially headed. But if Edmonton gets on them early, and obviously if you win this game and go up 2-0 going back to Edmonton, man, it feels like lights out for Vegas at that point. So Feels kind of like a swing night in both of these series. If either one of the road teams can go up 2-0, look out.
Yeah. As we mentioned, the SEC softball tournament down in Athens, Georgia is in day number 3. They opened with Oklahoma defeating LSU 4-1. Continued Arkansas scoring a bunch late, defeating Tennessee 6-1. Ole Miss and Texas are getting ready to get started now, followed by South Carolina and Texas A&M in the nightcap. Yesterday, it was LSU with a 5-0 win over Mississippi State. Arkansas 5-1 over Georgia. We talked about Bree Ellis and that walk-off grand slam for the Razorbacks. Ole Miss had a home run late as well to shock Florida. That's number 11 seed Ole Miss with a 6-3 win over the Gators. And South Carolina defeated Alabama 6-2 yesterday. So, again, the top 4 seeds in action today. And that was number 5 knocking off number 4 as Arkansas defeated Tennessee. Top seed Oklahoma, shockingly enough, advances. So,
yeah, will we be surprised by the end of the week if we're talking Oklahoma winning this thing? No.
No,
we won't.
No, that's just kind of what they do, right?
Yeah.
So, I did hear though on the post game that was Oklahoma's first. Let me get this right. I believe it's their first postseason win outside of the state of Oklahoma since 2017.
That'll make things that make you go a little bit. Props for at least daring to dip your toe outside of the Sooner State.
Well, should they pick up a couple more, I don't think they'll have to again this year. So we'll see how that goes. Little NFL news. The Panthers announced some roster cuts earlier today. One of them was edge rusher / defensive end Jadeveon Clowney, who I will tell you, I didn't realize was still in the league.
Still cashing a check somehow, right?
Apparently. Well, it was. Also, though, cut by the Panthers was tight end Jordan Matthews. Tight end Jordan Matthews. Formerly receiver Jordan Matthews, who starred at Vanderbilt a few years back. Apparently transitioned to tight end while he was with San Francisco about 3 years ago. Signed with the Panthers in 2023, played in 5 games over the last 2 years, no receptions. So I guess 5 games over 2 years and no catches doesn't necessarily make you a valuable commodity. So Jordan Matthews is out at Carolina along with, again, Jadeveon Clowney. It'll be interesting to see if either of them lands anywhere else.
Yeah, you got to be one hell of a blocker to even warrant a roster spot if you're not going to make any grabs, it feels like. In this current NFL, you got to be so versatile at that position. And 16 touchdowns in his first 2 seasons, had 8 in his first 2 years each season with Philly, 22 career touchdowns. So his receiving production has certainly dropped off a cliff. I will be curious. Yeah, does he latch on somewhere? Surely at least going to get a camp invite or a practice squad invite in some capacity. Feels like if he wants to, he can still bring a little smidge of value somewhere.
Yeah, I think it becomes how much, how into it is he at this point at the age of 32? You know, do you feel like doing everything that is going to take to get into somebody's camp and stay once you get there, or are you ready to just shut it down and move on to whatever's next? I mean, he's 32, which is a little stunning to think about. Goodness, he's been out of school 10 years. Brent Snedeker was recently named captain for the 2026 U.S. team in the President's Cup. The U.S. team will take on an international team excluding European golfers. Jeff Ogilvy of Australia will be the captain of that international team. Sneds played in the 2013 President's Cup, went 2-3-0 over in Dublin. Has also played for the U.S. in the 2012 and the 2016 Ryder Cups, winning 4 of 6 matches there. So another big honor for Sneds.
Yeah, good pick, and good to see him kind of, still in a, albeit kind of ambassador capacity, but still kind of, popping up here, popping up there, and he is as likable as they come. So kind of in that regard, we should not be shocked. And he kind of strikes you as a coach / mentor type, and so kind of be interesting to see kind of what he can do as they get things going. You did mention, though, when they play at Medina, I mean, I immediately got PTSD from the 2012 Ryder Cup at the Miracle at Medina. The greatest, arguably one of the greatest sports comebacks of all time, certainly the greatest Ryder Cup comeback. So hopefully Sneds is on the right side of Medina action this year, unlike then.
It's a tremendous honor to be named U.S. team captain for the 2026 President's Cup by my peers, and I'm looking forward to leading our guys into Medina for what will certainly be an amazing week of golf, said Sneds. Representing my country in team competition has been a highlight of my PGA Tour career, and I will lean on those experiences to ensure we are prepared and ready to compete against what I know will be a unified and determined international team. I'm fascinated by what that international team makeup is going to look like, again, with no Europeans on it. So that's kind of something to keep an eye on. I'm intrigued.
Siwoo Kim going to be in the mix, guaranteed. And the U.S., like you said, has only lost this one time. That came back in '98 when it was down in Australia. So they haven't lost on American soil. And they've won every one of these outright, tying in 2003. They've won outright every 2 years since. So this is kind of a nice stretch we're on. No press, Sneds, but yeah.
Right.
This is the one that we kind of dominate, and so hopefully that continues to hold serve.
Yeah, you don't want to be the one to drop one when you're on that kind of run, right? Yeah.
No.
RG3 coming to a college football booth near you. Having left ESPN last fall, I guess, last August, he's going to be back in the booth for Fox Sports on college football this fall, replacing Brock Heward. Heward is stepping down to go coach his son's high school football team. It ain't what it's cracked up to be, Brock, but good luck. But yeah, RG3 back at it. He will be with Jason Benetti, Fox's number 2 team behind Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt. So that'll be interesting. Again, Robert Griffin III has kind of kept himself visible via the socials and that type thing, but he'll be working, calling a lot of Big 12, which kind of makes sense, given his background as former Baylor quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner at Baylor. So it'll be worth a watch.
Yeah, and like you said, him back in the Big 12 will just channel good vibes. And most importantly, the croissant picture heard around the world last year at the Olympics did not ruin his career. So props to RG3 on battling back from a major social media misfire.
No doubt. He survived Croissant Gate. Good for him. Yeah. That's going to do it for Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Be sure and join us tomorrow as we close out the week with the weekend warm-up. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We will see y'all tomorrow at 2 o'clock.